In the previous part, Lim acquired Youngshin, another member of his retire quick team that had him excited from the moment he regressed, as he would allow him to fund his retirement in a few years' time. After Youngshin got on board, he quickly put him to work and he had him create a new armor for himself and Lily. With this, his preparations were done and he entered the dungeon he was preparing for. Inside the dungeon, he saved the other guild's members. He knew that they would be brain dead for a while after his treatment. So for his payment, he decided to use them as meat shields in the dungeon. And this brings us to now, as they prepared to enter the final boss room. But before we get on to the video, do me a favor and hit the like button, it greatly helps out the channel. Let's get 300 likes for part 8. Inside the boss room, the spirit hunter sensed Lim and the other hunters outside the door, and it prepared itself to face them. After they got the door open, Lim blew a whistle, signaling to the other guild's members and Wang to attack. All of his free labor agents charged at the boss monster with Wang leading the charge, and Lim stood back with Lily observing the battle. Seeing how weirdly the hunters were running at him sent a shiver down the boss monster's spine. It was completely terrified of the brain-dead hunters. It backed away, but Wang activated his ability, and with a blissful smile, he says he is determined to give the boss monster a hug. The boss monster was backed into a corner, so it attacked Wang with its giant broadsword. But Wang was able to block the monster's attack. Wang's body was shivering from the recoil of the boss monster's attack, and he says it seems the boss monster is anti-hugs. The boss monster proceeded to attack Wang repeatedly, but Wang was able to stand his ground and block all of the monster's attacks. Lim observed the battle, judging Wang's abilities. So far he was impressed since Wang was holding up, even if he was a bit shaky. The boss monster turned around, and it noticed that the hunters had surrounded him, so it activated the Spirit Bind skill, a skill that turns those close by into puppets. And suddenly a large magic circle appeared on the ground, and all of the hunters that were surrounding the boss monster were in range of the skill. Lim smiled with confidence. He was certain that the boss monster's skill wouldn't work on the hunters, and he was correct. The skill had no effect, and the brain-dead hunters continued to attack the boss monster. Lim explained that the reason the skill had no effect is because the mirror he got from defeating the demon mirror bat, and the procedure he performed on the brain-dead hunters, makes it almost impossible for them to be brainwashed. The boss monster tried to swing its broadsword to defend itself, however that proved difficult because Wang was hugging the sword. Then the boss monster used its second ability, a summoning skill. Red holes appeared on the ground, and demon monkeys jumped out of these holes. But Lim wasn't too concerned. He had already prepared for this skill. He turned to Lily and he told her that she was up. Lily was excited. She used her fire ability to quickly kill all of the demon monkeys the boss monster had summoned. The boss monster turned pale, and it started sweating nervously. Lim praised Lily for her good work, and he placed her in charge of dealing with the demon monkeys whenever they are summoned. The boss monster watched the two, and it sulked angrily. In a fit of rage, it threw its sword at Lim and Lily, which they were easily able to dodge. Wang was still in cahoots with the sword. Lim quickly turned his attention away from Wang and the sword, and he pretended as if he didn't see anything. Lim didn't want to join the fight now, so he stayed back as the brain-dead hunter surrounded the boss monster again. He watched with his arms crossed as the boss monster exerted its energy to fight back against the brain-dead hunters, which proved difficult because the hunters were attacking in weird patterns. Lim expressed that his goal is to clear the dungeon safely and with the least amount of effort. And so with a menacing grin he says, after the brain-dead hunters tire out the boss monster, that's when he will join the battle. 1 hour later, the boss monster screamed out in exhaustion and annoyance. Seeing the visible signs of fatigue on the boss made Lim question if he should join the battle now. He blew his whistle, stopping the brain-dead hunters. Afterwards, they pulled away from the boss monster, and Lim approached the boss questioning if it had been waiting long. Then he said to the monster that he is ready to put an end to things now. The boss monster angrily started shouting insults at Lim in monster tongue. Lim couldn't understand what the monster was saying, but he was certain that it was along the lines of, "You cowardly bastard." He sighed and said he hopes the monster can be understanding. He charged at the monster, expressing that some people don't have a choice in life but to live like this. Lim then used the ability of the mirror he got from the demon bat on the boss. He knew that the mirror wouldn't brainwash the boss, but it should lower its guard for a moment. The boss monster froze, losing all functions of his body for a moment, and in that moment Lim attacked him with the skill Thunderbolt Fist. The attack killed the boss, and it left a crack in the monster's chest plate, which revealed a small blue light. Lim's eyes widened with shock. He quickly recognized what the source of the blue light was. It was a spirit stone, a magic item that even the highest of magic stones can't compare to. The spirit stone can make miracles happen, and obtaining the spirit stone is the reason Lim entered this dungeon. After the boss monster fell down, Lim quickly made his way over and he took the spirit stone out of the boss monster's chest, and he thanked the monster for being so kind. With the spirit stone in hand, Lim couldn't hide his excitement. He stared at the spirit stone with a menacing grin. Lily approached Lim, questioning if they were done with the dungeon. But seeing Lim's face made her uncomfortable. Lim continued his admiration of the spirit stone without care. He thought the spirit stone was a great find because with it he can use reformation. If a hunter is able to complete reformation, then their body will come to a practical state to master martial arts. But this isn't what Lim is after. He thought about a vacation on the beach, and he narrated that he wants to slow down his aging and lifespan so that he can enjoy his young body years into his retirement. Lily noticed the spirit stone, and she interrupted Lim's moment by asking about the stone. She questioned if it would be something tasty to eat. Lim wanted to keep the spirit stone to himself, so he told Lily the stone isn't something they can eat. However, he couldn't hide his excitement about the stone. Lily noticed the smug look on Lim's face, and she angrily questioned why it seemed like Lim was trying to keep the spirit stone to himself. With a smile, Lim lifted the spirit stone in the air, and he started to tell Lily about the spirit stone. But suddenly the spirit stone disappeared, and the smile on Lim's face turned into a blank and confused stare. Lim dropped to his knees in despair, and he questioned why something that others will bid millions in the future for suddenly disappeared. Oblivious to what's happening, Lily questioned if Lim dropped to the ground because he was tired from the battle. Suddenly Lim heard a noise coming from his watch, and when he looked at his wrist, the hands on the watch had started to move. This made Lim angrily question if the watch runs on magical power. A few hours earlier, outside the gate, this dungeon had gathered a lot of attention, and a news reporter reported that the 4 united guilds that entered the dungeon to clear it must have been wiped out, since today marks the 10th day from when they entered. Later into the day, we see Beak with a concerned look on her face, checking the news reports on her phone. Suddenly, a voice called out to her. This person questioned why she was out here again. Beak turned her attention to this person, who is revealed to be Bang Woohyuk, the team leader of Team 2 for the White House Guild. And with a smile he tried to comfort Beak. He told her that his team will make sure Team 7 is saved. With a concerned expression, Beak explained that the other guilds have no intention of sending a rescue unit, and she knows that Team 2 is capable of clearing a ranked dungeons, but she was still concerned about their safety. Bang expressed that Beak had nothing to worry about. Then he turned to the gate and he commanded his team that they should head in. As they approached, something strange started to happen at the gate, so they prepared for battle. Lim then walked out of the gate carrying Lily, and he was followed by a line of cars. Bang was happy to see Lim, and with a smile he welcomed him back. Beak quickly ran past Bang, and she gave Lim a hug. Lim was surprised, and with a look of discomfort, he questioned why Beak was giving him a hug. He reminded her that he is carrying Lily, and he asked her to let go of him. Beak ignored his question, and she asked why he took so long. Lim explained that he came across a few unfortunate circumstances that he couldn't say out loud, and he asked her to let go of him again. Beak hugged Lim tighter, and she expressed that she wouldn't let go since Lim made her worry. Seeing this, the reporters quickly started to take pictures, and they made note of Lim and Beak's relationship. Lim was starting to get annoyed. He expressed that he was exhausted, and he demanded Beak let him clock out. But still Beak continued to hug him. This made him angry, and he questioned if she wanted him to file for overtime. On the car ride back, the driver informed Lim with a pleasant smile that the country's noisy thanks to his activities. With a slightly annoyed look, Lim expressed that all the attention is only going to be a pain in the ass for him. He turned his head, and he gazed outside the window. He then questioned if it hadn't rained for the few days he was inside the dungeon. The driver said yes, and he informed Lim that for the past 10 days the weather has been clear. He guessed that Lim was asking because of the giant rainbow in the sky, and he explained that the rainbow suddenly appeared 4 days ago. Lim's gaze intensified. He knew that the rainbow isn't a natural phenomenon, it's the sign of the first great disaster. As time goes by, the rainbow's colors will start to disappear one by one, and the disappearance of every color is a signal for the start of the first great disaster, Night of the 7 Moons. Hundreds of gates will suddenly open, and monsters will pour out of the gates endlessly. In the past, Lim barely survived by holding out in a shelter, but things are different this time. He turned his attention to Lily, noting that he has the disaster of fire on his side. He clenched his fist. Not only does he have Lily on his side, he was also stronger compared to back then, and with a disappointed look he noted that he also has the fucking watch, which gained a new ability after absorbing the spirit stone. The next day, we see Lily in a red dress. She expressed that the dress is a bit tight around her stomach. Lim quickly grabbed some suspenders, and he told Lily that she could wear them instead. Lily expressed that she doesn't want to wear it because it's not pretty. This annoyed Lim, and he questioned what Lily wanted him to do about it. The White House Guild holds a party if a team returns from a dungeon safely, and Lim hadn't bought party clothes for Lily, so he informed Beak about it. This shocked Beak and she questioned if Lim only buys Lily sports attire. Lim couldn't respond, he just started sweating nervously. Beak gave Lily the red dress to wear for the party and Lim doesn't want to be rude, so he told Lily that she should wear the dress and if she gets uncomfortable, she could change then. Lily was impressed with this idea and she praised Lim for his genius. Later they arrived at the White House Guild and were welcomed by Changsu and Beak. Changsu couldn't contain himself, he hugged Lim aggressively, and he says he knew Lim would make it back alive. In pain, Lim questioned if Changsu plans to kill him. Beak turned her attention to Lily expressing that the dress suits her well, and with a pleasant smile Lily thanked her for gifting her the dress. This impressed Beak because Lily was getting better at speaking their language. Youngshin approached, and he asked Lily if she wanted to try out the different foods together. Lily turned with an excited look, and she agreed to try the different foods with Youngshin. Beak smiled, she now realized that Youngshin has a thing for Lily which she thought was cute. Lim looked around, and it seemed like everyone was enjoying themselves. An atmosphere like this is something he never could have imagined back in his previous life, when he worked for the Black Hound Guild. Changsu called out to Lim, and he asked him if he had any goals. This question seemed to confuse Lim, so Changsu explained that he was just curious as to what kind of goals young people have these days. He questioned if Lim had goals of becoming the strongest, or becoming a person of wealth. Lim sighed, and he expressed that his goal is to retire and live a comfortable life. He plans to save up a ton of money and build a $1 trillion house, and live the rest of his life doing whatever he wants. His answer left Wang, Beak, and Changsu stunned. Beak closed her eyes, and she expressed that Lim's goal is a lovely one. Wang also agreed, saying Lim's goal sounds peaceful, and it would be good since Lim wouldn't be putting them through training anymore. Changsu on the other hand was confused, and he questioned if Lim doesn't want to get stronger. He added that if Lim trained with him, he could get way stronger. Beak was slightly angry, and she called for her father to stop. Lim's expression suddenly got serious, and he thought about the rainbow in the sky that was counting down to the disaster. At first he planned on steering clear of the dangers he knows of in the future, but now he has the potential to get stronger and guild members he can trust, so he can't run away this time. And if running away isn't an option, he questioned if he should create a plan so he can benefit from the disaster. The scene then shifts to Lim, Wang, Lily, Changsu, and Beak at a lake. They were all excited, Changsu especially since he wasn't expecting that there would be such a beautiful lake in a restricted area. Changsu's spirits were up thanks to him being in nature. He quickly took off his shirt and he ran into the lake. Lim observed Changsu as he made his way into the lake. He wanted to spend the week-long holiday he got without wasting it, so he asked Changsu and the others to join him. Beak called out to Lim, and in a seductive pose, she asked if he could rub sunscreen on her back, since she couldn't reach it. Lim teased her, saying she should work on her flexibility. He demonstrated and says he can reach his own back with ease. Beak was slightly embarrassed and she questioned if Lim would just apply the sunscreen for her. Lim refused. He pointed to Wang and Suradiok, saying if Beak really needs help then she should ask them for help. Beak turned her attention to Suradiok, expressing that she hasn't met him before. Suradiok was surprised. He has never met a woman who looks as good as Beak does. He quickly made his way over and with an excited smile he introduced himself. Beak tucked her hair behind her ear and she smiled. Seeing this, Lim got irritated. He turned his attention to Suradiok and he says if Suradiok continues to act like this he would give him a new name. He approached Suradiok, and he whispered in his ear, angrily asking if he likes the sound of bloody Suradiok. Suradiok just stood there sweating nervously. After dealing with this, Lim approached the shore of the lake waving to get Changsu's attention. He called out asking if Changsu wanted to have a swimming competition. Changsu turned with a smile, saying he would love to, since it sounds like fun. With Changsu's agreement, Lim started to explain the rules of their competition. He says the person who makes it to the other side of the lake first wins. Afterwards he threw a rock signaling for them to start. Instantly after the rock splashed into the water, Changsu took off with blazing speed, and he was beginning to put some distance between him and Lim. Lim smiled. Just as he expected, Changsu was fast, but thanks to that he should be able to catch a big one. The gap between Changsu and Lim continued to grow, but Changsu stopped suddenly, and a giant kraken emerged from the lake. Changsu got irritated that a mere kraken interrupted their competition. He jumped out of the water and he punched the kraken. The punch injured the kraken, but Changsu wasn't finished. He continued to punch the kraken repeatedly. Lim stared at the scene, nervously sweating. Changsu was fighting a kraken with his bare hands like it's nothing. This made him grateful that he brought Changsu along on his vacation. Changsu defeated the kraken, and Lim approached, questioning if Changsu was okay. Lim says he wasn't expecting for a monster to suddenly appear. Changsu smiled, and he expressed that he is just glad the Kraken went after him and not the others. Changsu looked around, realizing that they had gone too far out, and he was starting to get worried about the other, so he grabbed the Kraken's body. And he said to Lim that they should head back. Lim told Changsu that he wouldn't be heading back since he wanted to look around the lake some more. With the Kraken's body in hand, Changsu swam back, expressing that Lim should make sure he returns before dinner time. Lim watched as Changsu returned. He cleared the area where the others were before he challenged Changsu to a swimming competition, so there is no chance of a monster appearing there. After Changsu was out of sight, Lim activated the shield skill, and he started swimming to the bottom of the lake. He wanted the Kraken killed because it would have been a hindrance, but now that it's gone he could search for his real goal. He doesn't know how deep he needs to go, but he knows that there is a treasure in this lake for sure. At the bottom of the lake he found a cave, and since he confirmed that the location of the treasure is here, he wanted to head back and enjoy his holiday for now and come back later with Lily. But as he started to swim back, something started to pull him inside the cave. The shield around his head broke as well, and he slowly started losing consciousness. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then hit the like button.